Buzzfeed is definitely a company that I think at this point we're all very well acquainted with. Either you hate them or you used to love them and now you hate them. And I think there are a lot of good reasons for why that company seems to be universally hated on the internet these days, and we will eventually get into that. But before we do, I want to go back in time to one of the weirdest eras in the internet, in my opinion, which is Buzzfeed's heyday. To me, it's probably only rivaled by like MagCon and whatever we want to call that TikTok e-boy era. The great temple tickling of 2019, if you will. Even if you do hate Buzzfeed though, I think it's impossible to deny that at one point they were wildly successful. Like, I'm talking tens of millions of subscribers across their multiple channels and of course billions of views, and you can't reach those kind of numbers by making bad content, right?
Okay, what the fuck is this?
Right? I guess we're gonna find out today. But before we do, quick thank you to Surfshark because they sponsored today's video. Surfshark's a VPN, a virtual private network that encrypts all your information that goes between your device and the internet. That way you can protect all your personal information from big companies or cyber criminals. I found it really helpful whenever I use public Wi-Fi. That way I don't have to stress about whether someone can actually access my personal data or not. It's also able to change your IP address. That way you can appear to be accessing the internet from different parts of the world. And you've got tons of options for that. They've got 3,200 plus servers in 65 countries. That's definitely my favorite feature they have, just because I love to use it to watch Hulu. We actually don't have that streaming service at all in Canada, which sucks because we miss out on so many different shows and documentaries. But now all I have to do is just use Surfshark to pretend that I'm in America, and then I can catch up on everything I've missed. I recently finished Dope Sick, which was really good, and I'm also in the middle of The Girl from Plainville right now, which is definitely very interesting so far. The other thing I love about them is that you can actually use your account on an unlimited number of devices. That way, if you want to share it with your family or you want the account on more than just your phone or your laptop, you don't have to get a whole new account to do that. They also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it completely risk-free. If you want to check it out for yourself, you can actually use code Aonso to get 83% off plus 3 extra months for free. Definitely check out the link in the description box if you're interested, and thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring. But let's get back into the video. Okay, with that out of the way, I think that Buzzfeed had 3 main qualities to really thank for their success. The first being that, of course, they were really good at creating viral content during their prime. The personalities of their cast were also a big reason as well, and the high output they had because they were a company with a ton of employees at their disposal, which the average YouTuber just couldn't compete with, definitely helped them algorithm-wise. Considering at that point that YouTube was really rewarding anyone who was just posting like crazy. There is a silent fourth reason, and I don't know if everyone's gonna agree with me on this, but I feel like Buzzfeed really needs to thank all of the college students between the years of like 2015 to 2018 for a lot of their success, mainly because back then there was no Vine or TikTok, so if you wanted to distract yourself during a lecture without getting caught, you were basically stuck watching tasty videos. It was basically Cocomelon for people over the age of 18. But let's get into that great viral content that Buzzfeed was pumping out during their prime. When it comes to Buzzfeed's main channel, one of their most popular series was the People Blank for a Week one, which is still a really popular video format on YouTube to this day, but one of their most successful versions of it was the People Eat Their Favorite Foods for a Week video. I'm gonna be honest, off the bat I don't understand the appeal of this video, mainly because this is my week-to-week life. Please don't look any further into that other than the fact that I'm just a terrible cook. But that aside though, I'm sure that like me, you're expecting that this video would be people eating their favorite foods for a week. I mean, it's listed quite plainly in the title, and quite honestly, how do you fuck that up? But they did though. Gotta love them. It actually turns out that instead of 7 days, they're just gonna be doing the work week, so we're already down to 5 days, unless of course you're one of the 4 who only showed up on day 3, and it also turns out that they're only eating it for lunch. So essentially this video is just a work lunch mukbang where the girl who chose salad won't stop telling us about how much she loves salad.
It is definitely food I could eat every day.
Yeah, I could do this every day forever.
I have like an iron stomach.
Oh, and this has 15 million views. People change their eye color for a week is, shocker, not any better. You pretty much have everyone with brown eyes versus this one girl with blue eyes named Liz who goes on this massive tangent about how she was super self-conscious about having blue eyes.
I always feel invisible with my blue eyes, and I feel like really clear looking.
I feel you, sister. It must have been so hard having an eye color that literally is universally lusted after by everyone on planet Earth. This video is just wildly awkward to sit through though, because they all look like Cullens, but they're acting as if nobody's gonna notice that they're wearing very obvious color contacts.
I feel like I've acclimated to them and they just look like my normal eyes.
I feel like people look at me different.
Like, don't get me wrong here. I get that eye color is definitely an element of attraction. I just don't think it's a big enough one for these people to be acting like the ground's gonna shift from under them because they look like Renesmee now. Like, Liz spends most of her screen time talking about how worried she is her boyfriend might break up with her over this.
I don't know what my boyfriend will feel like. Will he dump me?
Like, you're wearing brown color contacts. relax. I don't think she meant to do this by any means, but it just comes off as her being like, oh my god, I hope my boyfriend still loves me if I have poop eyes. Like the people who do have brown eyes in this video are trying to not have brown eyes, and then the one girl who did want brown eyes suddenly is like, oh my god, I have them, my boyfriend's not gonna love me anymore. Like, what did brown-eyed people do to Buzzfeed?
You just got slayed.
When they finally show Liz's boyfriend though, it's very obvious this was a fake concern. I don't think this guy has the ability to display enough emotion to break up with anybody.
I'm very used to you with the blue eyes.
Keen observation. Really glad this made the cut in a 3-minute long video. Their most notorious for a weak style video though definitely has to be their manspreading one, which was not received well at all. I think enough people on the internet though have taken a bat to that dead horse, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the content itself. But I think what's annoying about these I tried videos, at least to me, is that it seems like all of them can be boiled down to somebody saying, I'm going to do blank for a week. And they'll proceed to film themselves before doing said thing and after to tell us how they feel before and after doing it, but rarely ever show us them actually doing what's in the title. And I think they do it on purpose, because if they were to actually show the footage of them doing it, it just makes you realize how dumb it is. Manspreading for a week is just watching somebody sit obnoxiously on a bus. And half the time they weren't even really manspreading. They were just taking up as many seats as possible, trying to attach some deeper meaning to it. Like, you were just annoying for a week. It wasn't just the manspreading video where they tried to attach some deeper meaning to it though. They almost always with these experiments have a what I learned section that honestly feels very Darman-esque.
You should be concerned with whether or not the people around you are comfortable, because that means you're a good community member.
What I learned this week was that acting obnoxious in public makes me feel bad. Great social experiment, guys. Keep it up. Like, I'm dying to know who they picture the average BuzzFeed viewer to be, because why would you need to clarify this? Actually, I wonder if at that point they're just assuming you've watched enough BuzzFeed content that they've beaten in your frontal lobe and you just no longer have spatial awareness. Beyond their weekly experiments, another true gem amongst BuzzFeed's most popular videos is Can You Make It Through This Video Without Needing to Pee? It's basically a video-style listicle of random water facts, and it has 14 million views. And even more surprisingly, everyone in the comments is eating it up. There's like no one complaining. Like, am I the problem? Then again, this was 2014. Different time. I needed to pee so bad before this started that my bladder actually hurt. I needed the toilet before, and watching this, I was so close to peeing, so I had to run to the toilet. But I peed my pants. Love the energy and enthusiasm from both of these, but I'm pretty sure one of you has a UTI, and the other should not be volunteering this information on the internet so easily. Or at least for free. Like, get your bag. That's just some of the general BuzzFeed content that did really well at the time though. They were usually very short and general style videos that pretty much appealed to anybody who was willing to watch anything instead of being productive. That's not shade. I am one of those people. I've spent multiple hours of my life watching people cut soap, so no judgment. I don't think we can talk about BuzzFeed's success though without mentioning super popular series they had, like BuzzFeed Unsolved, which focused on covering unsolved mysteries, Ladylike, which had viral content aimed towards ladies, or of course the Try Guys, who tried a lot of things and had a very devoted fan base that did in fact write fanfiction about them. But if you thought for a second that we'd actually be looking through that kind of stuff, you are absolutely disgusting. Eugene, can I ask you something? What is it, Ned? Ask me anything. Eugene softly held both his hands to give him support. Is it fun to date me? Making yourself hang out with someone who's gloomy and nerdy and unstylish, and a guy who's... Ned got cut off when Eugene mentioned his name. He cupped his cheeks and leaned closer to Ned's face. Stop it. Stop putting yourself down. Those aren't the reasons why I want to date you. Those are the reasons why I love you. Aww. Moving on. Actually, before we move on, if I opened fanfiction about myself and I was described as gloomy, nerdy, and unstylish, someone's getting in trouble. Like, you're writing fanfiction about this guy. Where are the rose-tinted glasses? Fanfiction aside though, I do think these series are the best examples of those big personalities that really help BuzzFeed, and I'm sure a lot of people would see this era as BuzzFeed at its best. I wasn't ever an avid watcher of BuzzFeed videos beyond when I wanted to distract myself, but I can at least understand why these videos did well. These ones, not so much. I feel like they did well because BuzzFeed as a company was doing well in general, and because they were so short and just applied to everyone, there wasn't really that much effort you had to sink into watching it, but I feel like it was these series that were really the backbone for BuzzFeed when it came to creating a returning audience that like actually cared about the content and the people in it. I just think what Ladylike, Try Guys, and Unsolved did was find the perfect balance between viral content, quality, and being likable. People enjoyed watching them. That's why when they all left, they were able to continue their own success on their own channels despite not having a massive media company to help them out anymore. Because it's YouTube. You don't need a company behind you to be successful on here, and if anything, you're actually seen as more authentic if you're not tied to one. Especially when said company has a laundry list of why I left BuzzFeed videos that all echo the exact same issues that the company just never bothered fixing. BuzzFeed, at least to me, just seemed to grossly overestimate how powerful they were as a brand versus how powerful their creators were, and probably thought there'd be no issue with replacing anyone who just didn't fall in line, which was definitely a big mistake. BuzzFeed's YouTube presence right now is the worst it's ever been. And how do you even begin to recover from that when all of your big names and series have moved on? Well, if you're BuzzFeed, apparently you just do the same thing you always did and continue throwing shit at a wall until something sticks. Gaming channel, cooking channel, clothing channel, news. Let's throw in Australians while we're at it. We like them, except this page though. We need you to forget everything we've ever done on the internet and start taking us really seriously now. It's just piles upon piles of content that a lot of the time isn't sticking because it's unfortunately outdated, and in general, it's just blatantly obvious that BuzzFeed as a company is focused on quantity over quality. They've always been quantity first though. If anything, I feel like BuzzFeed's most popular series existed in spite of the company's approach to the internet. And I feel like without those series, and the fact that there are a lot of newer, more entertaining ways to distract ourselves, like with TikTok, it just makes it a lot harder for BuzzFeed to pull off what they used to. What's really weird to me though, is that it feels like BuzzFeed just flat out refuses to change. In the past few years, we've seen a massive surge in popularity for brand channels like The Cut or Jubilee. And that's because as brand channels, they have the advantage of resources to create content that a lot of people making videos from their bedroom just can't. It's a difference you can see immediately when you compare a brand's video to someone who just doesn't have a massive company behind them. And that's not to say that one's better than the other. I think that they both have their place on YouTube, which is why they can both exist and thrive without really impacting each other. And you'd think that BuzzFeed as a fellow brand channel would take a page out of their book, considering that they have the resources to compete with those brands versus the average YouTuber. But instead, they're still trying to compete with regular YouTubers to make the kind of content that most of the time people would rather watch from a creator they know and like versus a brand. Like for example, there's this video, TikTok fails that hurt my soul. Why would I go to BuzzFeed to watch this when I can watch my favorite React YouTuber Sniper Wolf?
Oh no! Let go!
All this isn't to say that BuzzFeed as a brand is like completely dead at this point. They're definitely going downhill, but I mean, some of their old ways do still work. Their single people reading dating horror stories video did pretty well for them back in 2019. Maybe I should start doing that actually. I'm just gonna start throwing random identifiers in my titles. Unironic Weezer enjoyer reacts to mental illness trends on TikTok. White woman gives her opinion on Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly. Yeah, never mind. No one's clicking on that. I think looking back at BuzzFeed's heyday, it honestly just feels like a time where the internet was still pretty young in terms of company channel content, so they were really able to capitalize on it by just stuffing our recommended with these short viral videos that were really easy to pull off because there was no competition. Pumping out a ton of random stuff constantly back then worked, and they could handle it because they had a ton of employees to help them, and their better series distracted us from it all. When you actually think about it, it's kind of like our iPad baby era. It's nice to see though that the people who did leave BuzzFeed are still doing really well. I think that speaks volumes for how much value they brought to that company. BuzzFeed itself, on the other hand, just feels like the Skype of company-run YouTube channels right now. It just felt like they had such an insane lead on everyone that it'd be impossible for them to fuck up. But then they did. I'm curious to know what you guys think about it though. I feel like it's going to be an interesting mishmash of people who hated it from the get-go, people who kind of had a BuzzFeed phase, and maybe a few stragglers who still watch it now. So definitely feel free to share your experience with BuzzFeed if you want to. If you liked the video, feel free to give it a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to follow me outside of YouTube, I'll put everything over here. It'll be linked in the pinned comment down below too. If you want to catch some live commentary streams, you can follow me on Twitch. We're also in the middle of Life is Strange 2 right now. But otherwise, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.